Should you lease your next car? There seems to be so much misinformation of what leasing is and does it make sense for you. So I'm going to tell you everything you need to know if you're considering leasing your next vehicle. First off, let me explain what leasing is because this seems to be the biggest hiccup. Most people think that leasing is just renting a car or you're putting payments towards a car you're never going to own. But that's not the fact. Treat leasing as another way to finance the car. The only difference is you have the options at the end of your lease. Leasing at its most basic form is just financing, but all you're doing is financing the depreciation of the car. And all vehicles depreciate. But the difference between leasing versus financing and leasing, you have options at the end of the lease. You can either buy that car at a set amount, you can release another vehicle, or you can walk away. I want to be clear, if you plan on owning your car for a long term, leasing is a more expensive route. It is more expensive to lease your car, buy it, finance it, and run that out compared to just buying your car from the factory. So leasing can make sense for people that like to own their cars less than 3 years. Other thing you have to take into consideration is you. Are you the type of person that wants to drive the newest car with the greatest tech? When it comes down to it, leasing makes more sense. Financially, if you break down the math, it normally makes more sense to lease a car every 3 years than it does to buy a car, sell that car because depreciation can be so harsh. Again, you always want to break down the numbers. There are lease calculators. I use Lease Hacker quite a bit when it comes down to it to compare what the overall cost will be over 3 years if you buy it or if you lease it. So always use those calculators, but if you trade your cars in often, it's a good idea to lease. The other reason why a lot of my clients lease actually comes down to tax benefits. People don't talk about this much, but if you own your own business, and again, I am not a CPA, but a lot of the times you can write off the full payment and all the expenses of the car towards your business. So a lot of my clients are leasing their cars so they don't have to eat that depreciation and they're writing it all off to their business. If you drive a lot of miles, leasing might not make sense because you normally have a limit between 10 to 15,000 miles per year. But know if you're going to buy your car at the end of your lease, the miles don't matter. So even if you're 50,000 miles over your lease and you buy that car at the end, yes, you're buying a car with higher depreciation, but you're not paying a single penalty. So always understand that if you're over your miles on your lease, you can always buy that car out. Probably one of the biggest reasons people lease actually comes down to peace of mind. When it comes down to it, technology is growing faster and faster. So getting the newest tech in your car every 3 years is great. On top of that, you don't have to worry about maintenance costs. You don't have to worry about warranty. All of that can be included in the lease. So if something breaks, it's covered. You don't have to think about it. Oh, and did I mention lower car payments? Leasing doesn't make sense for everybody, and a large majority of my clients do finance. But I think so many people turn off the idea because they're worried about renting a car. Understand, leasing is just another way to finance a car. And anytime you're looking at a vehicle and you plan on owning it for less than 5 years, you should consider the option of leasing because it might cost you less.